A loaded question that I get a lot of the times is, where are you from? To which I usually answer New Jersey, because that's the state I was born in.
One of the times that I was working as a cashier and someone came up to me and they said, how do you say hello in your language? And I basically was just like, hi, because I only speak English. I have never learned another language.
People will see Priya Ramanathan written down on my resume on a guest list and will jump to a conclusion or an assumption that I don't speak English, that I'm on track to being some sort of medical professional, a doctor typically, that I'm quiet, that I'm timid, the list goes on. We all carry names that are of some sort of Asian origin, and we love those names. I personally love my name. Priya translates to beloved in Sanskrit. But people jump to conclusions about that. And again, that's just on names alone, which is heartbreaking.
The philosophy or kind of life mantra that I live by is the idea that love is the interruption of a self-centered life. And I think that mindset is something that when we talk about or when we think about different cultures, right? Like in the East, in predominantly Asian cultures, I think that mindset of community and living with each other and having harmony and coexisting, I think that is kind of a cultural value that I was raised with. And in America, it's a little different, right? Because I think there's a little more emphasis on the self and being an individual.
A Western idea of taking big risks and pursuing your dreams can sometimes feel in direct conflict with that generational history of pursuing stability. And that emphasis on individuality over the collective, sometimes there's a lot of conflict there as well.
Growing up in the United States with some sort of Asian origin has its challenges. You are trying to hold on, and your family is holding on to a lot of the Eastern values that you grew up with. But at the same time, society around you has this Western atmosphere. So you're trying to balance the two out.
I guess I might say that I express or experience a little bit of tension between Eastern and Western values. So when I did go to college and I met the wider Asian community, I also found that I just didn't fit in with them either. I was too American. I did too many things that were too American. I didn't have Asian parents, and it was hard to relate to either groups or either sides because I just didn't fit in.
Growing up, there have been moments where I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere as a 1.5 generation Korean American, neither Korean nor American. But I think as I got older, that arbitrary distinction between my Korean and American sides disappeared, just making me just me.
As I grew older, I learned more about my family's heritage, the importance of the traditions that they brought over coming to America, and a lot about how they worked to establish themselves here, which really made it easier to understand and grow to really appreciate their efforts to start a new life here, and made it easier to connect to the broader Asian American community at large.
I think we are making progress in understanding that being Korean American or more broadly Asian American is not a predetermined identity, and that it's a collection of varying histories and identities that make up our community.
To me, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month is about learning from the generations before us who helped us get to where we are today. And it's also about using the voice and resources we have now to help build a more inclusive and understanding world.
And it's not just because it's celebrating the Asian American Pacific Islander community. It's about learning stories and experiences from people who have heritages in China, Vietnam, India, Singapore, Korea, Japan, the list goes on. And even those countries have their own breakdowns there. Each region has its own dialect, its own culture. The layers are just extraordinary. And you will see a lot of overlap and similarities with people, but then you also see these extraordinary differences that you would be surprised to learn about. So I think this month gives you a chance to not only celebrate the commonalities, but also to embrace the differences.
AAPI Heritage Month is a fantastic opportunity to spotlight the history of Asians in America and to highlight the incredible diversity of our community. We speak so many different languages, we come from so many different places, and we all have a really unique story to tell.
We are determined.
We are diverse.
We are nurturers.
We are resilient.
We are not different. We are the same.
We are American.